Hello, everyone. I'm Sonia Jenkins, and welcome back to another Leadership Shift conversation. Today, I want to talk about something many leaders and professionals quietly struggle with, and that is prioritizing the big rocks in life. Because if we're not careful, our days can become filled with activity, but disconnected from what matters most. So let's get into it. Have you ever reached the end of the week feeling exhausted, but still felt like the things that mattered most never really received your attention? Maybe you answered emails, handled meetings, solved problems, supported everyone else, kept things moving, but somehow your own priorities kept getting pushed to the side. Your health, your peace, your growth, your relationships, your long-term goals. And over time, that kind of constant reactivity can leave people feeling emotionally drained, frustrated, and disconnected from themselves. One of the most powerful leadership lessons I've learned is this: busy is not always the same thing as effective. Many people spend their lives responding to what feels urgent without intentionally protecting what is truly important. Stephen Covey described this through the idea of big rocks. The big rocks represent the things that matter most: your well-being, your family, your leadership growth, your purpose, your emotional health, your vision, your relationships, and the things that sustain your life long term. But if we allow the small things to fill every space first, the emails, interruptions, meetings, distractions, constant urgency, eventually there's no room left for the big rocks. And this doesn't just affect productivity. It affects how people lead, how they show up emotionally, how they think, how they interact with others, how they respond under pressure, and even how connected they feel to their own lives. Many leaders today are carrying invisible exhaustion because they've spent so much time managing urgency that they've stopped protecting what actually restores them. So here's a reflective question I want you to consider. What are the big rocks in your life that have quietly been pushed aside? Maybe it's rest, health, time with people you love, personal growth, creative goals, spiritual grounding, or simply creating space to think clearly again. Because the truth is, there will almost never be extra time. We have to decide what matters enough to place into our lives first. And that's not just personal leadership, that's intentional leadership. So what does it actually look like to prioritize the big rocks in everyday life? Let me share a few practical leadership habits that can help. The first thing is this: define your big rocks clearly. Many people never intentionally identify what truly matters most to them. So everything begins to feel equally urgent. Ask yourself, if someone looked at my calendar, would they actually be able to tell what matters most to me? Because your calendar often reveals your real priorities. The second habit is schedule your big rocks first. One of the biggest mistakes people make is treating important priorities like optional leftovers instead of protected commitments. If your health matters, schedule it. If your growth matters, protect time for it. If your relationships matter, create space for them. Make time for the people you care about. What gets scheduled intentionally is more likely to be protected consistently. The third habit is Stop giving everything equal urgency. Not every request deserves immediate emotional access to you. And many leaders become emotionally exhausted because they live in a constant state of reaction. Sometimes intentional leadership means pausing long enough to ask, is this truly urgent, or have I simply become conditioned to respond to everything immediately? And finally, revisit your big rocks regularly. Priorities drift when we stop paying attention to them intentionally. So every week, take a few moments to reflect. What received most of my energy this week? What mattered most? What got neglected again? And what needs to move back into alignment? Because leadership is not just about managing responsibilities. It's also about learning how to lead your life with intention. So as you move through this week, I want to encourage you to pause and ask yourself, am I only managing urgency, or am I intentionally protecting what matters most? Thank you so much for joining me for another leadership conversation. And remember, if we don't intentionally prioritize the big rocks first, life will always fill the space for us. I'll see you next time.